Good afternoon. No, that's good evening, and welcome to our show again. Once again, every Sunday we meet, and we couldn't meet last Sunday, which was yesterday, because of some technical issues. The setup is different today because of I am not in Joburg, but I am broadcasting from Mpumalanga. I'm in Secunda, and we're having guests that will be online as well, and people who are closer to this area more than we are. Today, my guests come from the Eastland. One of my guests is from Tsakani, which is a Miss Universe finalist 2021. Sis Pumzile. Sis Pumzile, how are you?
Hello.
So I can hear you very well, Sis Pumzile.
All right. I said I'm good. In fact, I was born and bred in Tsakane. I live in Boksburg.
Oh, okay. All right. And you are sticking with the East.
Yes, still in the East.
All right. Shine for the East because we need more role models and people like you from the East. And then later on, we hope to be joined by a guest also from the East End, but coming from Etwatwa. I think every time you say Etwatwa, people think of Mubango. And maybe they will tell us more about Mubango. Etwatwa, umfundisi uScelo Ngubeni. And both of our guests today, they will be talking about their role in community development. But in a nutshell, probably an introduction to Sis Pumzile, we can ask Sis Pumzile, tell us about yourself. What is it that you do that even drove you probably to being a Miss Universe 2021 finalist?
All right. What I do? Hi everyone. What I do? I'm an author. I penned my first series book this year in March, which the title is "My Mother Hates Me." So I already have 4 books that I wrote, and I'm a founder and the CEO of Special People Foundation, where I deal with the widows, people living with disability, people who are infected and affected, abused people, divorced, and I deal with literally all the people who are marginalized, all people with the stigma, all the people who are forgotten. So I am the voice for the voiceless.
Wow, that's actually a nice way of putting it. And in your what's your everyday life like in your financial in your foundation or organization?
My everyday, obviously, I'm not into because I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a project coordinator, I'm a student. I deal with a lot of things every day, so I try to keep the balance because women, we do everything, so I try to keep the balance. But my foundation is run usually monthly. I try to communicate with all the special people. So last week, just on Saturday, I was in Mpumalanga in Nelspruit and the House of Hope Center, where we went to donate and to just give love to the lady called Ruth Lamini. She's disabled, and she's taking care of 162 children.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
With her disability grant money.
Wow.
Yes.
That's something that is just amazing hearing that story. And then I'm sure the demand for what you do, what you do is very demanding on your lifestyle. And I hear you saying that you try to strike a balance and in order to try to make everything manageable. How many kids do you have? And then how is your lifestyle at home dealing? Is the husband happy? Are the kids happy with your presence, or how does it work?
I have two kids. I have a son, which is Gahiso, is a soccer player. He's 16 years.
Mhm.
I have a daughter, Karabo. She's a swimmer. She's 11 years. The husband, I'm not staying with the husband anymore. We are in the last process of our divorce because of the 2 years marriage of being abused. He abused me. So this year I got to the point where I said, it's enough. I cannot be
Okay.
in an abusive marriage.
Okay, sorry to hear that. And maybe jumping into your book, tell
Yes.
us a little about it.
My book, it's a tell-all book about the volatile relationship that I had with my mother, and
Okay.
how I overcame the hate that she had for me. So I turned the hate that she had for me into success.
All right.
So
But
yes, so my mother's hate kept me going because I'm this woman that I am today because of her hate.
okay, that's a very odd situation to have a mother that you say hated you. But what experiences are there? I know I haven't read the book. I just saw the cover that was just advertised, and I'm just wondering the experiences that you went through in life in that situation that you believe that your mother hated you. What was the experience like?
The experience as a child, it was not good. It was not good at all because I was only 13 years when my life was changed upside down. I just lost my brother. He passed away in 1994 when I was 13. So everything changed in that year.
Hmm.
I didn't understand what was happening, but what I remember is my brother also, he passed away not wanting my mother. So
Okay.
growing up, it was not easy. In being a teenager, going through what I went through, it was not easy. Being a mother at the age of 10 years, which it was, I had to raise my brother because I was only 10 years old when my mom gave birth to our brother. So I had to be a mother at 10 years. And me and my sister, we took care of my brother because mommy had to go to work and we had to take care of my brother. So it was not easy because people were labeling me, they were judging me, they were insulting me. So I got all the hate from the community where they didn't even understand the situation that he's not my son, he's my brother.
Okay.
But they judged me as mommy did well because I did this and that, so she's punishing me. While it was not the truth, instead of the community to support you and try to help and understand the situation, but they just judge. So it was not
Yeah.
easy at all.
Oh, okay. No, I hear you. And your book, what sort of story does it tell? What is it about? What phase of your life is it concentrated on mostly? And what was the purpose? What do you want people to know?
My book, it's about my life, what I went
Hmm.
through from the age of 13 until I buried my first husband. So it talks
Okay.
about everything about Pumi, about the suicide in the family, about the teen mom, the ugly supermodel. Um, there's so many things. My mother's hate speech, mother's absence, a blessed marriage, a funeral in Uganda for my husband. And it also talks about something that people, you know, they are even scared to say, it's sex for rent, because I had to do things that I'm not proud of, but the situation
Yeah.
pushed me to do that. And these
Uh,
things are happening every day. So I'm raising awareness to everyone that we need to speak up. It happened to me. Everyone is painting mothers as mothers are good, mothers are supporters, but the love that the mother is supposed to give, I didn't receive that love. So I'm trying to raise awareness to say this is happening, and there's no manual for being a mother, but I'm trying to tell the people that it happens. And if it happens to you, speak about it. Find help.
Yeah.
Don't judge. Let's talk about it. Let's find a solution to this.
Oh, okay. All right. But what's your feeling now about your mother? What's your relationship like?
My and my mother, we don't have a good relationship. Of which I'm praying about it that one day she'll be okay. I last spoke to her. In fact, I didn't even speak to her on a Women's Day where I called my father. And my mom, a minute she heard that my father was speaking to me, she grabbed the phone and she started insulting me like he always do. It was nothing new because I'm used to that situation. And the more she insults me, all I can say is I love her and happy Women's Day. So the more she does
Okay.
all these things to me, I can feel that she's hurt and she's scarred. She's wounded. She's the one who needs the healing more than I do. Because me, all the scars that I had in life, I put it on writing and I held. So we need to speak about this. I used my healing for me to heal. I write everything down. So people they have different things of healing. Others they can sing, others they can be poet. But me,
Mm.
my head and my healing, I found it in writing.
Oh, okay. No, that's
And I
great.
don't hate my mom. I love my mom because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am.
Okay. No, that's good. And now I think the question maybe to you personally is taking your mom out of the picture, but talking about you, your healing, and the process. Have you healed?
Yes, I have held. I have
Okay.
held.
All right. And what's your feeling about your mom?
I love my mom. I love my mom. God knows that I love her. And I tried so many times to, to make things right. But every time I come close, then there's she does more and more. And in 2018, that's where I made a decision that let me love them from far. Because the last time we were together, I ended up in a mental hospital where I was taken to a mental hospital by my family. I spent my Christmas in a mental hospital. For the first time, my kids spent Christmas without my mother. I spent 17 days in a mental hospital because of my family. Me coming
Okay.
out from coming out from the hospital
And
instead of
what year
them
was
leaving
this?
me alone. 2018.
Oh, okay. So yes,
Yes.
you can
So
continue.
coming out from the hospital, even the doctors, they're like, hey, Pumi, your family, they really don't want you. So just love them from far. Or you can even sue them. But for me, like I just want to heal. I've been through a
Okay.
lot. And now instead of them leaving me alone, they dragged me to court. So I spent over 48,000 in 2019 for 8 months fighting for my kids because of my family. So it doesn't end. It continues and continues. Even still in 2021, they are still on my case. And I'm okay with that because the more they do that, God is opening doors for me and I'm climbing up the ladder. So now I no longer want to reach the sky. I want to pass the sky. That's where I want to
Okay.
see myself. Yes.
Okay. And is there something that you want to share, probably from your book, that probably people would want to look forward to in your life story?
Um, what can I say? My book it tells everything about my life, but the last
Mm.
page it's where I'm talking about living in forgiveness. That we need to
Okay.
forgive. We need
Yeah.
to forgive despite whatever that's happening in your life. You need to forgive because God wants us to forgive and God wants us to love. So people they need to
Yes.
forgive, they need to heal, they need to go through the process. Because I tell myself that it it was God's purpose that this had to happen. I had to go through the pain that I went through to be where I am. So it wasn't for the pain, I wouldn't be where I am. I forgive my family, I forgive my mother without apologizing, and I love them. And I pray that one day God will touch her life. She will also heal.
Okay. No, that is great. And now let's talk about then your go back to your community involvement because
Yes.
one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys, I think we are having a problem connecting the Sicelo Ngubeni. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys, which I will pose to you, is in your everyday life and contribution in communities in what you do, what are your biggest challenges?
My biggest challenge it's in everything that I'm doing as I'm in a corporate world, it's being victimized in the corporate world. Me doing everything that I'm doing, being a good employee. I was suspended on the 1st of July because of telling the truth, because I stand for the truth. So
Okay.
just because I am a black woman, I was victimized. I followed all the process in the company where you have to report to this one and to this one. I followed everything, but it fell
Mm,
on a deaf ear. So victimization in the corporate world, it's big and it's bad. And at this moment, it's really sad because it's no longer, in the good old days, they will say white people are racist. They are doing this to the black people. But
mm.
now it's black on black. Black
Oh,
managements, they are the one who are abusing us. They are the one who
okay.
are
So,
abusing us. So it's
okay.
really challenging. Yes, it's really challenging because you cannot even do anything because people are even scared to speak up.
Okay. No, I hear you. Now I think one of the things that I would probably want to understand is that that's just the corporate side that you are
Yes,
talking about. In the
yes.
in the organization that you are running, like what you went out there on Sundays, in that, what are the challenges as a black woman running such an organization?
As a black person running the organization, is we don't get that much help from people. I approach companies to assist, but I think it's more of a trusting. There's a lack of trust. They think maybe you are doing this for your own benefit, not for the good people. So they ask a lot of questions, and I give them everything. The traveling, it's also tiring, but yeah, I have to do it. I have to do everything on my own with the little team that I have. But it's really, really, really challenging that when we knock to the companies, they don't want to open the doors, especially when you are a woman. They don't take you serious.
Hmm.
They don't.
No,
So
I
it's yeah.
yeah. So you think as a woman you are more marginalized when it comes to making a meaningful contribution in your surrounding community or in your society as opposed to men.
Yes, men they are head. As a woman, you are not head. At some point, you go knocking at the door asking for help. The guy, if there's a man who's assisting, the first thing that they want, they are already looking, in order for me to help you, you have to do this for me. So if
Hmm.
you cannot do what they want you to do, so you are not getting help.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I hear. It's quite a challenge, actually. It's funny. I was listening to one of the interviews in one of the channels, the news channels, and talking about women doing more community work and
Yes.
doing a payless job. More women are doing that as opposed to men, even in the current state in the country. Women are the ones who are actually saying that we'll stand in a gap as opposed to men when it comes to organizations in our communities. But yeah, I hear you, Mrs. Pumzil. Now, in short, I think, what would you say to women out there?
What can I say to women is, women, we need to love one another. We have a slogan where it says "Watinta bafazi, watinta imbokodo," but we as women, we don't love each other. A woman's enemy is another woman. Men uses women to destroy another woman. So we need to love each other. We need to appreciate each other. We need to complement one another, because together we are strong. Because even in the Bible it says that they ask for the women, they ask for abo mama beslilo ukuthi abantu besifazane, they have to come up, they stand in the gap. So as women, if we can just come together and love one another instead of judging and competing with one another. So women, let's love each other and save the world. The world needs us. It needs the women.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think now, probably as a closing shot on your side to say, um, as Miss Universe finalist,
It's
right?
Mrs. Universe.
Mrs. Universe.
Yes, Mrs. Universe,
Okay,
South
Mrs.
Africa.
Universe, South Africa. As a
Yes.
finalist, maybe tell us how what was the journey to get there? How easy or how difficult was it for you to get there? Firstly.
Firstly, it wasn't easy. I didn't know that there's even a Mrs. Pageant. I used to
Mm-hmm.
see that there's Mrs. South Africa, but I didn't know that there's a Mrs. Universe. My last time when I went through the beauty pageant, I think it was 1997, and
Oh,
I came
okay.
back at the age of 40. So I didn't know about it. Someone saw my link, my website, and they contacted me. I was supposed to enter Mrs. Universe Africa, but I was late. I was in Cape Town celebrating my 4th year coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chat with someone who's a coach. Then on the 10th, she sent me a WhatsApp message with the form. I said, okay, the Mrs. Universe Africa is closed, and Mrs. Universe South Africa, it's open for you. So go and apply. Here's the form. Just do your thing. And that's what I did. After applying, I got the response that I'm one of the contestants. And on the 14th of August, that's where the first workshop started. And I found out that I'm not even a semi-finalist, but I'm the finalist. So my journey
Uh,
started on the 14th, and I'm going to be crowned on the 26th of February, 2022.
wow. So
Yes.
what's that? Have you won already?
No, I'm claiming it. We are 15
Oh,
finalists,
okay.
but I am
You go.
claiming that
You go, girl.
yes.
That's the spirit. That's the attitude. You go. We are behind you. I think the last
Yes.
question would be on that one. What do you need to do in order for you to win?
In order for me to win, I have to raise 25,000,
Oh, okay.
which I have to raise 25,000, get donations from companies to raise
Okay.
25,000 in 6 months. I have to get sponsorship, a lot of sponsorship. I have to go to interviews. I have to do community work. I have to get centers, of which I have St. Francis Care Center,
Mm.
which they are one of the care center that I take care of. I have Hand of
Yeah.
Hope. I have to go to charity. I need to find the one with the abused women, because as Mrs. Universe South Africa, I'm an ambassador. I'm the spokesperson
Okay.
for domestic violence and abuse. So we have to touch life and save the women and talk about gender-based violence. Talk about
Yeah.
the abuse. As
The
I
gender
also
inequality
stood up,
and
yes, as I stood up, because I am also abused by my husband. That's why I let go and said we need to stand up as women to domestic violence. We need to stand up to the domestic violence. That I cannot be. I know in the Bible they said divorcing is not correct, but you cannot be in a marriage where you are abused, where you are beaten up, where you are raped, where you are humiliated, where you are insulted, you are even taken to izangoma, by force. And it's something that I don't believe in. But when you have a husband who opened the doors for the girlfriend to insult you, for the mother to insult you, for everyone, so you cannot stay in that marriage where you are even scared. And when you go out to the churches, most of the time the churches, when you are divorcing, they judge you. They think you did something wrong while you did nothing. Instead of talking to the men that what you are doing is wrong, they judge a woman. It's always a woman who's wrong. If a woman cannot give birth, it's a woman. If the woman is beaten up, they always blame a woman. The woman is raped, they blame a woman. It's always women, and no one is standing for women. Even when you are raped, they withdraw the case of my husband being raped by my husband, and I was also raped by someone else. It's said that the women who's supposed to protect us, they are the one who are saying no. Rich men, they cannot be judged. They cannot go to jail because they have the money. So in South Africa, if you are a woman, you can be raped, you can be abused. Nothing is going to happen. Men win. So women, there's nothing they can do for you. That woman, she was a prosecutor. She even had to go far as making an example with a child, that even if a child, if she's raped and she cannot speak for herself, if a man says, no, she gave me consent, then South African law stands for men. So that means we don't have any powers in South Africa. As women, we are not protected. And it's not only men who are doing this, it's women who are doing this, because the people who had my case, it was a woman detective and it was a women prosecutor. Instead of them saving us as women, fighting for us, protecting us, they are the ones selling us.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the biggest thing that we need to address. And I actually make a promise now that we will get some people from the law enforcement and the judiciary and the correctional service to come and have a chat with us in these matters of gender inequalities and more especially the issue of gender-based violence. I see Babu Stelo Ngubane, Kosiam, you are finally here.
It was against me, but I'm here now.
What was against you?
Technology. I'm a TBT. Okay. I was born before technology. Yeah.
My brother, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, and then tell us Ngubane.
No, thank you so much.
I would tell them, but I'm sure you don't want to know. You don't want me to tell stories about you, because if I know you like donkeys years ago, over it's easily 20 years probably. So I'll keep quiet. Let's hear.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My name is Stelo Ngubane. I believe I'm a social entrepreneur. Because one of the things that I base on is that my background is really youth development, and is embodied with community development. But now I have started a new journey of being an entrepreneur, where I believe that we need entrepreneurs in our communities, especially given the unemployment rate that keeps skyrocketing. So every day of my life, what I do is social entrepreneurship. I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a facilitator, I'm a trainer, a life coach. What else? Yes, I'm a father. Yeah, I'm a committed person in my community. I've dedicated my life really to be the voice of the voiceless, because most of the time, just hearing my sister who was speaking here, I realized that we have so many social ills that we cannot be silent about. Martin Luther King says our day started not to have any meaning when we kept silent about things that matters. So it is those things that really make me to wake up every day, that we need to make a change in our society.
True. Yeah, but my Babu Stelo, tell us then, probably your highs first, on the things that you have achieved Last time I heard about you or from you or something like that, I heard President in Tony. So maybe you can pass there and tell us your achievement in the actual projects that you've done in terms of community development.
Thank you so much. It's very, very difficult to beat your own horn and without sounding a prestige or pompous. I myself appointed president of Etwatwa, and because Etwatwa as a community, even when you look at in the media, it has been known about negative things. Etwatwa has been known to be an orchestrated community, deserted from development. I took upon myself to say I want to represent this community very well because I think I have another side of this community. One of the achievements of my project is Etwatwa the movie that is documenting the inception of Etwatwa since 1985 and is telling the stories of people and heroes that are not being celebrated in our communities. So one of the things that I started to push was that we need to narrate the story. But now we are in a fourth industrial revolution, digital world and all of that. And the best way was, why not do the movie so that we can tell the story. I also did Gaulo, which is a company that focuses on food, as you hear Gaulo. But we also had to look at the language. That we call it Gaulo so that you can, have a relationship with people because everyone can relate with the Gaulo, So Gaulo started as a free street market or free street restaurant where we come in parks and do shisanyama. We were doing very well before the lockdown, of course, in terms of selling the food in the events and all of that. Another project that we launched was the book I wrote called Unashamed. Unashamed really is because of the background that most of us, especially relating to myself, that when you grew up from a poor background, you start blaming yourself to a certain degree that maybe there's something wrong about you and your upbringing. And so the Unashamed was to speak about the fact that there are so many great people who come from Etwatwa, and when you meet them, they don't want to say they come from this community. They will mention something else, like I'm from Egurulane, I'm from Davidton, but they'll never mention Etwatwa. So in my writing about the Unashamed, I realized that shame takes away a lot of values. Shame takes a lot of a zeal for people to be able to say, I am what I am. I cannot change the background, but I can change where I'm going. So Unashamed was launched. And now in I think in July, if not June, we launched a Kasi library here in Etwatwa, and we were graced by the public protector of the people, Umamubusisi Mkweban. Yes. She came to grace us here at Etwatwa, and she came and sat amongst the people. And one thing that she emphasized was, your talent will take you to sit next to the king. So don't underestimate the gift that God has given you. So a Kasi library, within Kasi library, then we have a Kasi private school. Now, this school is school for dropouts. What is happening is that we have many young people who the academic school, the normal school that you go to, has failed them. Now they've not failed in the school, the school have failed them. So we have started a Kasi private school that is not an academic school. It's a school that focuses on skills development, life skills, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and so forth. So we are going to be launching a Kasi net in the entire South Africa. This program about the Kasi library, the Kasi private school, we want to make it national. We realize that in South Africa, especially in townships, we have many young people that drop out. They don't have an option but to go to drugs and substance abuse. So a Kasi private school is for school dropouts. So it has been a very great journey. In the work that we are doing in the community. Thank you.
For sure. And maybe if I could just add there, talking about you, I would want an input, Mrs. Pumzile, at some point. You didn't start now in what you do. It's been a long, very long journey. And I think the question that we want to know today is, what is your challenge when I as Stella Ngobeni to say, if I didn't have these challenges, I would have went that far. What are the challenges of your day-to-day struggle of trying to do these things in these communities?
Thanks for that question. You see, one of the problems, I will say it's a challenge, it's a pandemic that we have in communities, is that we don't see support from government, especially when it comes to issues of development. You find that you have a lot of struggle in a buy-in, especially because your solutions are not short-term solutions, but the long-term. Number two, government wants programs that are going to be just a fabrication of development, not the actual development. If you can check, you can go to Department of Arts and Culture and ask them to give you their records of where do they spend most of their money. They spend most of their money in events that are one-day events. They don't mind spending millions just for an event of about DJs and all of that, because it's easy for them to do that. We have a government that is disconnected from the citizens. So one of the challenges that I face is resources in the community. So even when the public protector came, she also alluded that she will help and assist somewhere in terms of making sure that we get resources for what we want to do. Emakasi, when you look at it, because I don't want to say maybe it's because politicians don't stay in our communities, but you find development doesn't represent the journey that we have traveled. I mean, in my community, we have places that have just received electricity last year, and they've been around for more than 20 years. How do you live without electricity? It's because we don't have the government for the people and for the people. We might have a government, but I don't think it's for the people, because you don't see the agitation in terms of what is it that needs to happen. Today, we have young girls who are pregnant at the age 10. It's a disaster. It's a problem. And because those social ills, they are going to be affecting us in the long run. And we don't see a government that is agitated by those problems that we are facing in our community. So every day, I have to speak to the government and say, we need your support. But it's government that is supposed to come to us. In other countries, the work that you are doing, because as you are saying that I've been doing youth development for years. We've been doing exchange programs, especially with European countries. When you speak about youth, everything stops in that country, because youth and children are the priority in that country. But in South Africa, who's the priority? It's not even elderly people, it's not even women, not even children. The priority is given to no one. So I believe that one of the challenges that we have in the country is that we need to have a very serious scanning of quality of leadership that we need. We don't have to speak about we're going to elect Banbani to be a president. We need to start by asking the character of that person. Where are you taking us? What is your ideology? What is your doctrine? What are your values? Because those are things that we want to look at before we can even appoint a person into the position. But in South Africa, it's different. People get appointed because they are connected to certain people, but there's no quality in terms of their leadership that they can transform this country. So in South Africa, we have poor leadership, and it continues to replicate, from one generation to another. We have a serious chaos in terms of leadership in our country.
Yeah, and maybe Swiss Pumzin, if I can come to you and ask you a question that is based on what Stella has said. If the government had the backing of what you're doing, what do you think you could have achieved by now? If you had a backing from the past 4 years or so, what do you think you could have achieved by now?
I was going to achieve a lot, but the government is not for us, eh? The government is not for us. Even with a woman that I was talking about, Ruth Lamini, she's disabled. She was gang raped. She ended up with HIV. She knocked in the doors of the government. No one wanted to assist her. They wanted her to open the center to accommodate them in order for them, when she's getting the tenders, nabo bazodla. So she said, I'm not going to do that. So no one is helping her. This disabled person with the grant money, taking care of 162 kids, no one is helping. It's just the community who are assisting. As I left Boxback, drove 4 hour 30 minutes to go and assist. And when you get there, those kids, there's 9 disabled kids. There's deaf kids, there's high school, there's primary. They don't eat. They only get the subsidy at school in the mornings. Then in the afternoon, if it wasn't for Ruth, then those kids will be something else. She's doing something good, but the government is not helping. She's only the government. The government is not for us. If you don't want to bend your rules and your principles, they are not going to help you. I knocked in so many doors. I apply. I work in a pumps company. I knocked in the company where I work for. That these kids, they don't have water. Can you just assist with the borehole, with the pumps? I work with pumps every day. No one opened the doors. No one.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
And the government knows that there's no electricity, there's no water in that center, but they don't care.
Yeah. We get into the gist of things. I think while we are running out of time. Mr. Stel, I was having a conversation with someone today, and this is what I suggested. I don't know if we should just make a movement and just go for it. And I said, I think we should get people in government and administratives and everything else. Ask them nicely as a team building session to come and spend 3 days to like 7 days. They can't make more than a week in squatter camps. And they're not going to get money. When their neighbors get money, they will get money so that they can actually live their life. And when they have a taste of what those people are going through, maybe they will probably change in the way that they do things. But anyway, that's just me. Now, my question to you is, what do you think should be done from this point on? What do you think the government should be concentrating on, or business for that matter, or even people in our communities to try and tackle the social issues that we have?
Thanks. One thing that Malcolm X says is that we don't lack resources as Black people, especially in the communities. We're just not organized. Organizing the community is important. The people have more power than the people who are in power. It's us who decide who do we vote for, who do we put in office. It's time for us to be really harsh and be straight when it comes to deliverables. If you are working for government, you are working for the citizens of South Africa. So you must first, be accountable to the people that you are servicing first. In South Africa, we have this problem of wanting to accept mediocre. We accept things that people do that are not even excellent. I think in South Africa, we need a lot of exchange programs, especially with people who come from other countries, because in our community, we have Somalians. In our community, we have people who come from Botswana, people who come from Lesotho. We just need to organize ourselves. We need to make sure that we organize ourselves and fight poverty, because it's only poverty that is making all these ills to be like this. People who flee the communities, they're going there because they want greener pastures. Let's water our grass so that we can be able to have our own greener pastures. So I think the first thing that we need to do is that we need to start scanning what kind of leadership we want. But number 2, South Africans must take themselves serious. I don't know for how many years. I'm unemployed as an entrepreneur, but I've refused to take it 350. Not because I think it's not a solution, but because I think it's a shame. It's a shame after so many years in South Africa that you want us to go and queue for 350. Our government is a shame. I look at people who are looting, and I say, if that is the justification why you are giving 350, then you need to check what people were looting. People were not looting anything else but food. Then it means that 350 cannot be able to assist in poverty. If we want to change, let us be honest. Let's speak to the parliamentarians. I think our parliament is full of gimmicks. People who go to our parliament, they go there only because of their own benefits, but they are not agitated by the serious issues in the country. And one of the things that we need from those politicians are proof of residence, like you are saying, so that we don't have people who are not staying with us to represent us. So for me, the important thing is that we need to take ourselves serious. I take myself serious. I play my honest part. So we need to play our honest part and not take ourselves for granted. When we attend public meetings, go there carrying your journal. Go there and be a difference. If you are a light, if you are a salt, you don't need to read numbers. You can do a difference. So I think it's time for us, because we've been putting gloves in this democracy of us because we thought, no, this is our young ANC, young democracy, young all of that. It's no longer young now. We need to speak as adults and say this democracy is not helping us, but it needs serious change, and can only do that only if we put quality leadership. You don't put weakness together to make them strong, but you pick strength together so that it can be more stronger. So it's time for us to challenge from Parliament until even the grassroots of councillors, because now we're going to the local elections. It's important for us to scan who we put in power. That power of an act is very, very important. We must utilize it without fear or favor.
For sure. Look, I'm a believer in community development, and that community development, developing the community from the base up, not from the government down. It's key. We must develop our people. It's such a pity that today we had challenges with technology and we started late, and every challenge that everyone had. But still, allow us. I think we should engage in this thing. I think we should call other community developers to come, and we can speak about such matters in community development, and probably make. I mean, I like the fact that today I'm speaking to people who are on the East End, and it's been Soweto all along. Let's build a bridge between Soweto and East End, and see if we can make movements that will move both communities and say, together we agree on the same thing, and we agree to move forward in developing communities. So I'm saying to you, this is not the end of such discussions. We must have, especially because we are going for local elections, we must have these conversations even more about community development, that it should be on the forefront. Sincerely, I hear you, and I hear the pain that you advocate for, and I promise you, I will try my level best. There's 3 people that I would want to bring to this show: people from the law enforcement agencies, people from the justice system, and people from the correctional services, to come and tell us about the strategies or the procedures as far as the gender-based violence are involved, and that we could be clear, both men and women, on what the law says, what is required. And when people go, because one of the worst things is that people go to jail, and jail is more like paradise for other people than anything else, than punishment. And let's get from them to explain these things to us based on the law and the constitution and whatever that it takes that builds all these things. But to my beautiful guests and my awesome men, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you once again. And Sis Pumzile, thank you very much for being here. And I'm sure we will see you once again when we have these 3 people that I want them to be here. From me, Emmanuel Mohlala, thank you very much for joining us. Till next time, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.